There are a couple videos that I want to make regarding the result of Dricus Du Plessis versus Israel Adesanya, but today I want to talk about who exactly should Dricus Du Plessis fight next. I'm going to give my opinion, and as always, guys, I would love to know what you think about the whole situation down below afterwards. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with too many YouTube channels. Let's talk about Dricus Du Plessis versus Israel Adesanya, and, okay, elephant in the room, I know, Sean Strickland has been said by Dana White to get the next title shot. And first of all, I'm shocked that Sean Strickland is getting the next title fight. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it, okay? We're going to get into whether or not Sean Strickland actually deserves to fight for the title. But I really didn't think that he was going to get it. It's a combination of a couple things. First of all, he's kind of not as bad, but kind of going the Nick Diaz route where he's just whining, complaining, not taking fights, and just going, I'm not fighting unless it's for the title. That was a robbery, and again, we'll get into exactly the previous fight with Sean Strickland and Du Plessis, and that might be a reason why, but I just don't see that going too well for the UFC. Look at all the times where Dana White has problems with fighters, and just recently, we have Mateusz Gamrot striking because of the worry of the UFC and how they perceive their fighters. So when Muhammad Mokaev just got cut because he's difficult to deal with, I thought that Sean Strickland, I didn't think he was going to get cut or anything, but it seemed like the UFC was kind of putting the hammer down just a little bit. And we all know what happens when Dana White has issues dealing with fighters. They're really outspoken about these kind of things, but it doesn't make sense because Sean Strickland's just talking crap on Twitter, just saying he deserves this, he deserves that, he's not taking fights. Meanwhile, Robert Whittaker, the absolute Chad, is going out and taking short notice fights, taking on anybody, winning, and now taking on Khamzat Chimaev. So I just am surprised that he's been promised this next title shot. Doesn't really make sense to me, okay? But is Sean Strickland actually deserving to fight Dricus Du Plessis? Well, obviously, he had the very, very close and controversial decision fight against Dricus Du Plessis. Now, initially, the first time that I watched a fight, I recently rewatched in the build-up for DDP's new fight. I've always said, and this was my initial reaction when the fight first happened, I was kind of like, oh, that was close enough, could have gone either way. There was a couple toss-up rounds in there. And upon rewatching, I did have the fight to Sean 3-2, so I do believe it was a robbery, but I still don't believe it was anything to just go crazy about. As a Canadian over here, we could all see that coming. My mom and I were watching the fight, and we were like, yeah, as if Canada is going to let Sean Strickland win. No chance. And don't get me wrong, guys, I ask you to not assume anything about my own political beliefs. I keep them private for the channel. I just live in Canada. I know what it's like here, and I know what people, especially in Ontario, would think about a guy like Sean Strickland. So if they're fighting somewhere like Toronto, makes sense. I saw the DDP decision coming from a mile away, okay? That in combination with ESPN, Disney, anything that's involved with anything that Sean Strickland is about, I'm just shocked that he has been put in a situation where now Sean Strickland gets another title shot. I'm not saying I agree or disagree with it, okay? I'm keeping that private. It just doesn't make sense to me. From everything that I know, from everything that's been going on online now, it doesn't make sense. But I'm not upset about Sean Strickland getting the title fight because I do believe he won that first fight. He came back and he got one win over Paulo Costa. This would be an okay win if it was Paulo Costa like 5 or 6 years ago, but Paulo Costa isn't the same fighter. It's not like he came in and beat some top 5 guy. Robert Whittaker, on the other hand, beat Paulo Costa, had a better fight doing so, and I understand it's Sean Strickland, and he tends to bring on a little bit more boring fights because of the way that he fights. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. It's just Robert Whittaker went through a war with Paulo Costa, showed he could get through adversity, came out on top using pure heart, grit, technique, everything about it, did the UFC a favor, took a short notice fight against Ikram Aliskerov, and it starched him, by the way. Now he's taking on Khamzat Chimaev. What Sean Strickland did versus Robert Whittaker is incomparable. Robert Whittaker, 1000%, if this fight's still not booked and Robert Whittaker beats Khamzat Chimaev, I think it'll be criminal to give Sean Strickland the title fight before Robert Whittaker, because Sean Strickland is now beating Paulo Costa and just sitting back and going, well, I deserve the title fight. I'm not doing anything unless it's for a title. That doesn't really scream to me, hey, I really, really want to earn this title shot back again. You could argue Sean Strickland sits back, and you could argue that Sean Strickland deserves the title fight already because he could be looked at as champion. This is why the conversation is so difficult, and it would have been so nice, by the way, if you could have just paired up Sean Strickland and Robert Whittaker, because both of them deserve the shot so much. Have them fight for it. I don't understand why not. But ultimately, I do believe, as of right now, Robert Whittaker, even before the Khamzat Chimaev fight, deserves the shot over Sean Strickland, but if Robert Whittaker beats Khamzat Chimaev, he is way more deserving, way 100% more deserving than Sean Strickland is. Let me hit you with one more thing. So Nasruddin Imavov and Brendan Allen are fighting at UFC Paris, and that's kind of coming up. I don't know exactly what date it is, but regardless, I think the winner of that fight is also more deserving than Sean Strickland. He already had his fight. He didn't beat anybody in the top division. I think that both beating, honestly, I think beating either Brendan Allen or beating Nasruddin Imavov is way better than beating Apollo Costa, which Sean Strickland did. When that fight takes place, if there still is no fight booked, Imavov, Allen, whoever won, give them the title fight. It's a new matchup in the division. They've gone through the division. They are more deserving than Sean Strickland, in my opinion. But again, no matter what happens with Robert Whittaker, if he wins his next fight, I don't care who wins what fight in any division. Somebody wants to move up. We have a double champ fight. I don't care. Robert Whittaker should absolutely be next. That's kind of how I'm seeing things over here. Robert Whittaker, number 1. Imavov versus Allen, number 2. Sean Strickland, number 3. But don't take any of this in saying that I don't believe Sean Strickland deserves a title fight at all. I'm just saying who deserves it the most. And now here's the big issue. Because you have Dricus Du Plessis now saying that he would fight Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira wants to come down back to 185 and fight Dricus Du Plessis. And call me crazy, guys. Call me crazy. I could see the UFC actually doing that. Let's assume that Alex Pereira gets past Khalil Roundtree. I could see him moving down because Alex Pereira is one of the most active fighters. And even then, he keeps saying that, I want a break. I want a big, long break. He's not taking breaks. Time's ticking. He's an active fighter in the UFC. I could imagine we'll give him what he wants. Imagine the storyline. You'd have one of the greatest fighters of all time. And I know how many times we say this. If Alex Pereira and Dricus Du Plessis fight, I'd pick Pereira hands down. Okay? But I know that Dricus Du Plessis keeps just getting the job done. But then we have a giant shakeup in the division. Because by then, Robert Whittaker would have beaten Khamzat Chimaev. Supposedly, I imagine that's what's going to happen. Then Robert Whittaker would deserve a shot, and Dricus Du Plessis sitting back. And now Sean Strickland is still sitting back, not getting a title fight. And we're back at the spot like, okay, what's going to happen now? Did Alex Pereira take damage? Did Dricus Du Plessis take damage? Why not match up Robert Whittaker and Sean Strickland again? But then Sean Strickland would sit back and go, no, title fight for me, you guys. Like, the whole thing is a giant mess right now. Or it's not a giant mess, but it should be a giant mess. It should be a giant mess. But at the end of the day, Sean Strickland is getting the fight. I know this video has been a giant mess, guys, along with everything that I'm saying, but I'm thinking like, okay, this is what should be happening right now. And as always, guys, I would love to know what you think about this entire situation down below. Do you think Sean Strickland deserves a title fight? Why or why not? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for watching. While you wait, guys, and while you comment down below, I suggest you check out this video on screen. It's ranking every single MMA YouTuber strictly by their logos. I will see you over there or in the next video, guys. Take care.